Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Chillmonger. What's up, Chill?
Hello, hello. What's going on, world? You can't answer that question because we're recording this and then we'll post it later.
I demand everyone answer that regardless. How are you doing? We'll wait. So, all right, whole bunch of things to talk about today. One of them, I kind of want to start off with a oops. There was a kind of a mistake made, sort of a mistake. I wasn't wrong, but I was still called out, and I will answer that. So we actually had a response to. I didn't know that you can actually comment on the podcast that we do. I didn't know that with the format that we have. So we do, however, somebody actually commented on the podcast, and thank you for that. They mentioned that I got something wrong when we were talking about the thugs. Ernie said,
Oh,
"Do you know where the term thugs came from?" And I went into an actual historical explanation. Well, I did a very, very brief rundown of what it was, just like basic things, and I didn't go into detail because it really wasn't the subject. It was just me rambling because we were all three of us exhausted. You remember how freaking tired we were afterwards? We're like, dude, I
uh-huh.
can't keep my eyes open. But what do you call it? So I mentioned the Thuggees. They were in the. I said that they were in the Pakistan area. I wasn't wrong, but I also wasn't right. So this was the idea is that this was, oh, and also that they were actually Hindus, not Muslims. Well, yeah, he's not wrong, but he's not right. So this was a Hindu cult who worshipped Kali, and they would go around and they would kill a bunch of, travelers going up and down roads and steal their stuff. It wasn't just like muggings. No, they would actually murder these guys also. It was a murder cult, and then they would steal your stuff, and your wagons and whatnot. So these were mostly, yes, Indians. And the thing is, there were also some Muslims who were there also involved. People who
Oh,
clearly didn't know their religion, whatever it is, what it is. And what happened? The reason why we know this is because they were caught by the British. The British caught them and interrogated them, and it's like, where are you from and what's your name? That name, hold on, you're not. That's not a Hindu name. That's a Muslim name. It's like, wait a second, why are you worshiping this? That's not even your religion. It's like, oh well, it doesn't say in our religion that we're not supposed to do this stuff. So, because there's a bunch of people who just don't understand their religion and they just take whatever the local ideas and they go on by that. And no, it wasn't. They weren't it wasn't Pakistan proper because the British were there, and Pakistan didn't get created until after the British had left. So it was the Pakistan region that a lot of these
uh-huh.
guys were captured in, the Muslim ones at the very least. But yeah, so anyway, I wasn't wrong. The guy wasn't wrong. We both just could have fixed up a couple things that we were saying. But I genuinely appreciate that he did call me out on just being so lackadaisical with the explanation. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have comments like that are um challenging me. Like I don't want a
Hmm.
comment section that's gonna be you did such a great job. That's nice too. Any
Hmm.
comment is nice. I'm saying
Right.
I'd rather have the differing opinions or something, or at least I can learn from, or change the way I create or I do things.
100% constructive criticism. And he did say, "Hey, with all due respect, I love your stuff, but I got to call you out on something." And no, that was 100% fair. So yeah, if you're gonna do it that way. But I got a thick skin anyway. I think both of us have a really thick skin. So like,
I haven't
whatever.
blocked anyone yet from my. Oh, that's not true. That the spam guy who keeps on saying,
Freaking spam guy.
"Would you like to be friends?" Like that one I think I blocked. Hide user from channel, but like a normal person, I've never tried to block them
I
yet.
think he finally stopped sending stuff to me.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, oish, crazy people. Watch, I'm gonna get like 30 of them today in one video. Anyway, so this is podcast number 6, my peeps, and this is the best way to get all of your convention information without potentially catching the coronavirus. I know, I'm not trying to make fun of this. It is actually a very serious situation. And legitimately, as of today, this is like we just started at midnight. This will come up today, Sunday, but this is midnight Sunday. So we're recording this at the last possible moment. That's what we do. We try and record this at Sunday mornings so that you guys can have this by Sunday morning also, just a couple hours later. But this, yeah, this thing with coronavirus, man, they are legitimately shutting down. They're calling for states of emergency. I don't know if it's all of New York, but certainly a part of New York. California had a state of emergency. A good portion, if not all of Texas, state of emergency. Like they are not joking around. This
They
stuff is,
shouldn't.
yeah, you're right, and they shouldn't. Um, just small facts: 84% of it that's out there, the coronavirus is non-fatal. It's not even like moderately fatal. Some of it's just little things that you're not going to notice the difference between that and the cold. And then, getting like the flu, use the correct terminology for it. Some of it is fatal, and like maybe 2% of it is the actual fatal kind that can really hurt you. The moderate kind is still potentially dangerous to kids and elderly and anybody with respiratory illnesses, but most of it is something that it's not going to bother anybody. So you can leave some of the toilet paper on the shelves because there's some freaky crazy stuff going on in the world right now. People fighting each over toilet paper, man. What is going on?
I'm not even laughing at that. Everyone, let's take precautions. I watched Walking Dead and I saw how that thing spread because people didn't take it seriously, or at least that's how they depicted that. So I've seen every zombie movie and every other film where things just started growing, expanding, and everyone had it. Let's take things serious. I'd rather be on this extreme than the other extreme. We already take extremes as a society when it comes to. Remember, we live in Toronto, Mississauga. Did you get an Amber Alert for a missing child at
Yes.
midnight?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. And then 14 minutes later, that, hey, he's still missing, and here's some extra details. And I couldn't sleep that
And,
night because I'm like, what
and
the
it came in
frick, man?
French. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
part
stu.
of it came in French.
God. I
Well,
think.
Oh no, just
Well,
the kid was found and he was actually being held by his brother was actually involved in drugs. So this kid was actually being held hostage for a little while until his brother paid up.
mhm,
So
mhm.
that's actually really messed up. You
Now
think?
with Amber Alerts, I think that they are making it normal, the emergency alerts,
Uh-huh.
normalizing it, taking advantage of your compassion for the missing children. But that little emergency alert it's not just for missing kids, it's also for the virus is in your town. This is like
Yeah.
fear inducing, panicking. If you
Yeah.
want to get a people to a war, and Canadians were passive, I know that the
Mhm.
emergency alert system, that's everywhere in the world,
Mhm.
right? It's in America, isn't it?
I think so.
It
It's
is. It
been a
is.
while since I've lived there.
I was talking to Ernie and he told me that like
Oh,
months
okay.
ago. Because I was on Discord with him and then it went off and I'm like, sorry, it was just an Amber Alert. He's like, yeah, we get those too. But
Okay, there you
but because it's like also for terrorist attacks,
go.
you want to get Canadians into the next war. You keep on giving them these emergency alert warnings that keep, that's gonna make you. It's fear mongering, if you will.
Yeah.
Like that ain't right. So I can see it, but that's me putting things together.
Hmm.
Also, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
And you want to talk about taking things to extreme? You literally equated the coronavirus to The Walking Dead. What the hell, dude?
That is that's a very easy connection to make. I'm just saying.
You're hysterical. By the way, Corona beer does not cause the freaking or carry the coronavirus. Oh my God.
Yeah, I watched the video on Jimmy Kimmel. He did the live witness news, and he's
Yep,
asking people. Some people just want to be on TV.
I think so. COVID-19. Yeah, that sounds like coronavirus. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, there's what happened? South by Southwest was canceled down in Austin because of the news of the coronavirus. Really bad stuff. PAX East. There was a lot of people who didn't bother even showing up for that. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. People are seriously shutting down all sorts of freaking venues, channels, so that they could try to avoid what's going on. Listen, at the end of the day, the medical advice that's being put out by the CDC and a whole bunch of others: keep washing your hands and try to stay 1.5 to 2 meters. That means 15 to 20 feet away from people who are coughing or anything like that. And that's all. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your eyes. Don't touch your face.
And I
You
hope
know what I'm
this
saying?
continues, man. This whole precautionary. Uh, I can't use words today. Precautions. We should stop handshaking. Let's get rid of that. Let's do the fist bump. You see the
Get
people
rid
with
of
their ankles.
handshaking? Why would you want to
Handshaking
get rid
needs
of
to go
handshaking?
because that's the way that germs spread. If we can get rid of this culture and do more of fist bumping,
Uh-huh.
do not elbow bumping, that's a little bit stupid. But if we can get rid of these things where germs can travel, that's just gonna save people from the regular flu, common cold, or like any sickness, anything that can travel from hand to hand. Let's change the way that we act.
You know,
Let's
that's
start.
gonna also make our bodies weaker if we don't get sick every once in a while. It
Well, we'll
literally
get our
makes us
sick.
more susceptible to being sick then.
You'll still get your sicknesses. This will just to reduce the amount that
I
travel around.
guess.
Everyone's getting to get sick.
Let's just bow to each other like they do in the East.
I don't know about that. I ain't bowing to anybody.
Oh man. All right. We could just do airborne high fives. Hey, what's up? How you doing? There you go.
We just started something. We just did the webcam. If you guys are watching it on Comic Book University's YouTube channel, we just did a webcam high five.
That'll probably go up on Tuesday morning. But yeah, this is available anywhere you guys get podcasts.
And we
Otherwise, or
usually
just
talk about comic books.
yeah. Well, that's actually why I wanted to delve into all of this good stuff, is because for me, I think the biggest information that came out of PAX East, call me biased, is the video game news. Um, Marvel Future Revelation or Revolution. Blah, I'm trying to read my own handwriting. Marvel Future Revolution is the new RPG open world. It's the first time Marvel has ever done an open world game, at the very least on an app. In the Marvel universe, and this is going to go all over the place. They're showing screenshots of like Sakaar and places like that. Maybe you'll be able to visit Xandar and places, but either way, this is supposed to be really immense, really immersive, and you can actually download different costumes for your characters. So it'll be like different skins. You can have like, regular Captain Marvel, a pink Captain Marvel. So the whole thing is actually written by Mark Sumerak. I'm probably butchering that name. If you're familiar with Comic Book University, you know that's something that I typically do. I butcher names. But it's going to involve the converging Earths theory so that it can involve as many people as possible. You can have multiple different. Who do they have? Who do they show so far? Like Spider-Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Doctor Strange. Those are the 4 characters they're really pushing right now that you can play. So I don't know if you can play the Hulk or anything like that, or eventually work your way up to buying those. Because I'm just saying that would be cool. And if this is really open world and for mobile also, I don't know, man. I don't know.
You
Those
got to
people who have
think
the
of
Razer phones, the gaming phones, that would be
yeah,
something.
all the players that you have better be with a lot of skins, and I think Hulk is one of those people you can dress up in different ways. Spider-Man is definitely the
Yeah.
SpiderPunk. You got
Yep.
everything in the Spider Universe, Spideyverse.
I think they actually showed SpiderPunk too.
Yeah,
Oh,
but they
you saw
didn't
it.
show. Yeah, they didn't show any in-game footage. All of that was kind of cinematic stuff.
Yes, they're only showing and that's typically what they do because they're not even ready for the beta testing yet. So yeah. Um, yeah, they're going to show the cinematic stuff. They're going to show in general what the game can do, what you can expect to look at. And this is just a way to get the people excited about it. And I got to admit, at first I wasn't really too interested in it, but when they said it was open world RPG, I'm
Hmm.
thinking, you know what? This might not be so bad because this is actually from Netmarble. These are the same guys who did Marvel Future Fight, which people go crazy over that game. That game feels like it's got more longevity than any of the other Marvel games out there, like Strike Force, or I think it's called Strike Force, or Puzzle Quest. You know what I'm saying? There was this one Facebook Marvel game I played a lot that I loved, and they got rid of that, and that broke my heart, but is what it is.
Is Future Fight where those Agents of Atlas debuted before they went to comics?
Yes, many of them debuted there first. So yeah, that's the one. So so again, with it being Netmarble, that is you're talking about people who really understand the game, who really understand the world, and they're willing to create new characters. They're the first people who did Peggy Carter in the Captain America uniform, being Captain America.
And that's going
Um,
to be a what if for Marvel Studios.
yeah, exactly. Like, so they're really creating stuff here. What's her name? Luna Snow, Like
Hmm.
that's a character that they created, which is like, dude, are you kidding me? Did they also do Silver Fox?
White
White
Fox.
Fox. Yeah, so I was thinking White Fox. I think they also created White Fox. I can't remember. But dude, they are not clowning around. They are seriously putting effort into this and making themselves indelible to Marvel. So I'm loving what they're doing. I think it's a great idea. You got anything with video games?
What else you got?
No, that's it. That's all I got for video games.
Ah, same with me.
Okay.
I
So,
wanted to take it over to somewhere else about these other people creating things for the comic books, but we'll get there when I want to talk Sony and Bloodshot.
okay. Let's do that. So, what do we have here? We've got okay, let's just talk about comic books in general.
Hmm.
Batman number 89 and 90 and Hell Arisen issue number 3. Let's talk about that again.
All
Why?
right.
Because James Tinney the Fourth just put out his 11th newsletter, and there's some shocking info in there. So yeah, there's a bunch of people who are generally pissed off at scalpers right now. I just before I logged on to talk to you, I was reading some of my comments, and I see that somebody points out in Batman number 90s, like, yeah, George Jimenez on art, freaking beautiful. They needed to have this comic book. Unfortunately, I had to pay $20 to get it on eBay, and this is still the week that issue number 90 came out. This is the same week that
Hmm.
we're in. So buying $20 for a brand new comic book that's still supposed to be on the shelves today, it's ridiculous, you know? But I don't know, it is what it is. And people are starting to better understand this stuff. But like a point that you mentioned that should be informative is, when is this stuff being released? When is Tinian releasing this info?
Yeah, is
Because
it
he's,
before the cutoff date or after the cutoff date?
yes, and he's releasing this stuff right now before the cutoff date, which is a good thing, which is a genuinely good thing. Well, he's trying to catch up to, he's trying to get ahead of it. For right now, issue number 94 of Batman was supposed to have an Art Germ cover, and everybody knows that Art Germ is the number one guy that you go to for your variant covers. Forget about it. Like Art Germ, Stanley Lau is the main guy. He does the most beautiful covers, and he's typically always doing the bust covers. And he does guys too, but it's the women that it's like, oh my god, these look good. And it's not even like they're super sexual or anything. They're just drawn so well, like better than watercolors. Like they've got a glisten, a shine, a sheen. They're beautiful. And I remember when he did those four Fantastic Four covers, like it blew me away. And he's really good at Supergirl. Like, wow, that seems to be his forte. But he's going to be doing one for Punchline. It was supposed to be for issue number 94. It got bumped up to issue number 92. So issue number 92 is going to have that um, Stanley Art Germ Lau variant cover of Punchline. It'll be the first time that she's on the cover of a comic book, and boom.
But this is after the order cutoff dates.
Unfortunately, yes, which means that you've got a month now. So, but again, he's not the one who decided to bump that up. DC
Hmm.
decided to bump that up. And he did acknowledge that this was going to be in issue number 94, like a month ago in his previous newsletter. So, yeah, just is what it is. Apparently, these newsletters have to be reported now. This is, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Issue number 94 is going to have its own thing now, though. Francisco Matina is going to have a variant cover of um, what do you call it, of Punchline, and it looks just as good, if you want my honest opinion. And people are going to go crazy over this. So issue number 94 will now have a variant cover. Boom, you're good. You're golden. So you can order this in advance, have it put in your pull list, so you're guaranteed a copy. Another comic book that you should consider getting is Batman issue number 96. We're going in odd number favorites here. And this is definitely before the cutoff date, so chill, you should consider doing this also. Issue
Uh-huh.
number 96 is going to be the first appearance of a new character called the Clown Hunter.
Okay.
I guess going after the Joker. So again, this could be a complete go nowhere, who cares comic book character, or this could wind up being something where everybody's like, I can't find any on the shelves. Oh, panic, panic, panic. Panic at the disco.
Why is James Tynion not afraid to create, unlike every other creator?
Well, for one thing, he doesn't get anything by doing it.
Yeah, he doesn't get anything from doing it, and
Yeah.
that's why the others don't create new
Yeah.
things. And he's just like, well, good stories. That comes first.
Yeah, this is something that you and I think can agree on, and I don't have a problem with just agreeing on it. I don't have a problem with us agreeing on anything, but this is a podcast. We're supposed to fight each other once in a while, damn it. But yeah, literally nobody wants to create anything anymore. I've talked to so many comic book creators who are like, oh yeah, I want to do this, that, and the other thing, whatever. I just entered a contest for Top Cows. Top Cow had a contest. The cutoff was the 28th of February, and it was you had to write a 20-page issue of The Darkness in comic book format. And I only had a little under 3 weeks to do it, but I did it. I feel really confident about it. I doubt I'm going to win because I only had 3 weeks and everybody else had like 5 months, but whatever, it is what it is. And bang. One of the things that they argued, though, was listen, if there's this comic book character who you wanted to create for a long time since you were a child or whatever, this is
Mhm.
not the time to do it. Because if you succeed in getting in here, understand that we're going to own the character. So don't
Exactly.
do it. Don't do it. We're not interested in that. If you really need to do it, fine, do it. But my recommendation, just use like cop number one or bartender number two, things like that. You don't have to don't even use a name if you don't have to. So, yeah, they were very honest about that, very upfront about that. And I loved that. Um, but
But then
yeah,
you
no,
got people like Saladin Ahmed who's creating Amulet in Magnificent Ms. Marvel. And there's a
yeah,
difference between him and, let's say, Jonathan Hickman. I don't think Hickman created anybody. He got the world buzzing over, old stuff that already existed, just his take on it.
yes.
Like the Serafini and the Children of the Vault. That's from something Mike Carey used to write from 2005. This guy is using his noggin over here. But lesser writers who are not at that Jason Aaron level, they're kind of like, okay, got to create. James Tynion, he hasn't been writing for too long, right? He's a young person in the game, right?
He is fairly new, yeah, but he is
Mm-hmm.
also an amazing writer, and he really doesn't have to create new characters in order to get a great story across. But he is, and he's being really cool about it. He's like, okay, so here's a download for you guys.
Uh-huh.
The problem is, I don't think he could have realized that it was going to, people are going to go that freaking crazy over it because he
Just
is
start
one of those
revealing
local
it.
writers.
Yeah, just start revealing it before the order cutoff dates, and we're good. Like Donny
Mm,
Cates, you know what Donny Cates did with Ghost Rider, Cosmic Ghost Rider?
mhm,
He's a Herald of Galactus mixed with Frank Castle Punisher.
mhm,
He's also a Ghost Rider. I
mhm.
don't think he gets $1 for that because Marvel will say, we got all of these properties. You didn't do anything new.
Yeah,
And I guess he knew that, which is why when he created, he just like, okay, let me just do the best thing I possibly can under these circumstances since I'm not going to get a 1% cut.
yeah,
Which goes back to these creators. You guys got to band together and say we got to have an industry standard. This 1% rule. 1% of every film, so that's an artist and a writer would get
yeah,
1% off the revenue of each film. We get 1% off of toy sales, and then they'll try to like make them TV series because that's what they're doing with the Hulk. They're putting him in She-Hulk because Universal, Paramount, which is the company?
Universal.
Universal, they don't have anything in this contract about TV series or Disney Plus because they didn't exist back then. So they
Yeah,
can get away with putting in Hulk over there. So what they should do is also include web series also in their little contract of just 1% rule. That's the standard. Oh, if 1% is not viable, then it's a $1 million rule or something like that where they could. That's not fair, right? Because if you
no,
think how many people
that's
paid for
not
Disney
fair at all.
Plus,
Yeah,
yeah, if they do that and take care of each other and every one of them agree to it, it'll be better for us because we'll get new characters from skilled Chip Zdarsky writers.
yeah.
We'll get like those people creating things rather than I don't even know anything about Amulet. I hope he does a great job at being Amulet,
Hmm.
but I want to see what Scott Snyder has to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious myself, but I would imagine like Matthew Rosenberg doing the Punisher War Machine. Everybody's doing stuff with Punisher now. What's going on? But yeah, Punisher War Machine. I've got that toy, and I'm really sad if he doesn't get any kind of a cut from that. You could, if you're watching the video, you can see right up here. I've got the Cosmic Ghost Rider. Paid $60 Canadian for that. Does $1 go to? Does 1 penny go to Mr. Cates? Because it should, but I doubt it does. Um, Anyway, yeah, I would like to see more people actually getting it. So there's some kind of an incentive, the incentive bonus. Any media appearances, any whatever, I get a cut from such and such and such, from whatever you guys make, whatever your profit is, not the net, from the profit. That would work for me.
It's a short-term boost also in sales. Like if they actually see what just happened right now with 86, Batman 89. I mean,
Yeah.
if they see that and they go, I'm CB Sobalski, and I see that there was a lot of sales,
CB
potential sales.
Sobalski in a Batman comic?
Was he ever in a Batman comic?
CB Sobalski, you said? That's Marvel.
Yeah.
So you're saying Jim Lee. Jim Lee and the Batman.
Whether it's Jim Lee or whether it's CB. But
I'm sorry to cut you off. I got you.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, if you're the old Dan,
if I am the publisher of a comic book company and I'm watching this just happened at Batman 89, I, as a comic book publisher, want these short-term profits also. I'll learn from the mistake of announcing it after the order cutoff date, and I'll make it announced very much in advance. New Mutant created by Jonathan Hickman coming in issue New Mutants of number 20. Yes, he's going to get the cut. Yes, we're going to do that percentage deal where we're actually going to pay these guys. But that short-term goal, a lot of those comics are going to sell, and at a time like now, when it's not the 90s comic boom, these sales are going to really, really help out the industry. We'll learn from it. We'll let Gail Simone do her version, and Dan Slott, hey, you've been working for us for a long time. Maybe that should be the rule. If you have 10 years with the company as an artist and as a writer, then only you get to create because you earned it.
No. You want to work for my company, then you get the same rules as everybody else. I don't even like the idea that there are a lot of companies out there like, oh yeah, once you've worked with us for 2 weeks or a month, then your medical benefits will kick in. Well, the fathead, what's the difference between me being here a month or 10 years? I'm still here. I'm still doing work. What's the problem?
Because now you're worth it. You've been here for 2 weeks and haven't been fired, or you're not just a nobody. But now that you worked here long enough, we actually care about you and we want to help you.
So you don't care about me when you hired me?
Exactly.
I don't want to work for your company.
And then don't work for the company. That's our revolving door of a lot of people who will.
This is literally like you making headcanon and then arguing with it to like, well, then don't work for my company. Like, dude.
I don't see how that's headcanon.
It's headcanon because this is not even a thing where you get stuff for working for the company, whether it's for 10 years or for 10 minutes.
All right, you ever heard of like a probation period with companies?
Yes, of course. And I'm arguing that probation periods are stupid, but like I said, either way, as long as there was some kind of an incentive, hey, come on in and kick some butt and take some names, then boom, you're good. But even then, working for a company, they're all freelancers for the most part. Even if you get like an exclusive contract, okay, lucky you, maybe, but now you can't do your creative own stuff unless you have that in your contract. But I mean, most of them are all freelancers anyway. So there's that workaround. So it's like, oh, you've been with us for 30 years, but we still don't give you the thing if you made something for us.
I'm just saying wait 10 years, because if you just let anybody create new characters under this new deal where they actually get cuts out of it, then everyone will be doing it at the same time, and then it won't be a special
So if Jeff
anymore.
Johns comes over to Marvel right now, he's got to wait 10 years before he can create something new and get some money for it?
I wouldn't have the same rule apply for Jeff Johns. No.
Oh, so all of a sudden it's not uniform anymore.
Yeah, it's not uniform. We gotta, it's gotta make sense. Like Jeff Johns is Jeff Johns. So maybe a couple years into his writing career, they go, "You are Jeff Johns. You're a big deal. You get to create new things." When Tom King came over, he made Vision, but then the Vision family members that he created, like the dog, that's all him, right? And the artist.
Everything except for the Vision, the mother, the 2 kids, and the dog. Yes, so Viv Vision included. But he was brand new. But Viv Vision is extremely popular. Well, I don't know about extremely, but for a while at least, she was extremely popular. That whole TV show. They could make something into it. And he was brand new into he hasn't been in comic books for 10 years total. I still say that he should get something for it.
So let's think of something better than a 10-year waiting probation, just so that every month there isn't new character. I want it to be spread apart. So we say every writer and every artist gets one chance to create a new character, so we'll make it last. That way,
I would say it's just got to be approved. It's just got to be approved. You got to go in advance and get it approved.
Okay, yeah.
And that can literally be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, look, something just happened in April where they made a new character who's a female who has black hair. We're going to cool off on your character. Let's do it. Yeah, so just get it approved.
Yeah, something like that. If you want to do the thing now, sure, but it's not going to be an approved one. So if you get an approved character, boom, good. So yeah, you work like that. Speaking of comic books that sold out, here's one that I couldn't have even predicted myself. I love Mirka Andolfo. Met her at Fan Expo Canada just last year. She is a wonderful, amazing person. She's a great writer. She's an unbelievable artist. You familiar with Mirka Andolfo?
No.
Ooh, man. So her first issue of Mercy, issue number 1, there were 60,000 issues released with this first print. It sold out at the distributor level on Wednesday. There was, I don't remember exactly how many covers, but there was the regular cover that she did, and then there was the Art Germ Stanley Lau cover also. I went with the regular cover, I believe. I literally held both. Nope. I went with the Art Germ cover. There were, what do you call it? I sat there with both covers in my hand. This is the Art Germ cover. Gorgeous, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah. So I sat there with both covers in my hand going, which one should I get? I'm going to regret not getting both, aren't I? I literally said that in my head. And like, I've got her artwork inside. I'm going to go with the Art Germ cover. And I walked away. I put it down and I walked away.
I've made that same decision once before too.
Only once. And literally, man, then to come to find out they all got sold out. Now, mind you, I don't sell my comic books anyway, so it ain't no big deal to me. But hey, I've got a first print Art Germ variant of this comic book that sold out at the distributor level, 60,000 copies, same day. Wow. I've been telling people for a while, and that's one of the reasons why you follow our channels. We have those insider infos, you know. I talk about Mirka Andolfo a lot, and boom, look what happened. This is now a comic book that's worth, I don't know, what is it worth at this point? They're already going to go into a second print. You know that's going to hit a third print also. And it's a good story too. I did a review of it. You guys can go check that out. That is something else, man, because there was zero warning that that was going to go out like that. And now this just put Mirka Andolfo at this amazing level where if Marvel ever said, listen, when Marvel says, please, please, please come to us, please, I'm begging you, please, and she maybe says yes, should she immediately get that new character bonus?
Yes, the answer is yes.
There we go. Do you have anything else for movies? Because I've only got rumor monger stuff at this point.
So you know about Bloodshot and how in the films they're gonna make characters in films who were not in the comic books. Okay, that's just normal. That happens. But Valiant is going to write in some of these characters in their comic books. And that just makes me think of royalties and everything we were talking about earlier. Now, who's going to get the money for that?
Here, let's what do you call it? Let's break that down really quick so it's more easily digestible. So, on the 13th of March, this month, the 13th, the first ever Bloodshot movie is going to come out. It's going to star Vin Diesel as Bloodshot. This is the third, I think, character that Valiant Comics made back in the 90s, whatever. Anyway, super popular character. And yeah, they're finally going to make a movie. It's going to come out on the 13th. I myself, I'm having a watch party. You going to try and swing by?
Just text me. I don't know. It's a busy week.
Ah, geez. Anyway, got some freebie stuff here for you if you want.
You know why it's a busy week. I told you off.
I know why it's a busy week. We're good. I get it. Chillmonger's getting some
Don't
business
say it.
going on. I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything. I'm not saying anything, man. That's not me. That's not me. Um, okay, guys, so this is what's going on. What have you now? So in this movie, they're going to introduce some new characters that will later be written into the comic book. Now, mind you, I'm going by what Chillmonger says because I actually keep in contact with Valiant Comics, and they never told me this. So
The only
where?
reason I know is because
Uh
I was watching Comics Explained. Everyone knows Rob Jefferson.
huh.
He gets invited by Sony to do these. So he went to the Venom.
Uh-huh.
He was going to this one too. He went to Spider-Man Far From Home also. He interviewed Sam Jackson. So he
Uh-huh.
went and he said this question, and he's like, "How does it feel that your characters will be now written in comic books?" So I'm like, "Oh, that's the thing." Like for me and you, that's news. Our ears will be alert to that. But to them, it was just like a normal question. Yeah, it's gonna be cool to be part of the comics. I'm like, no, you don't get it. Someone created these characters. You should be fighting for your right, or maybe they just gave it away because they're already making thousands of dollars. They're not like that normal comic book writer and artist who's starving for money. So they're just like, yeah, I got this role. I got paid a lot, and they do get royalties off movies, don't they? Off of every DVD sale. I think actors like that have that. They already fought that battle and won, unlike the comic book world. But
It depends on what's written into their contracts. And mind you, I'm not as familiar with the movies. I know that with
there's
the
a union.
TV show, yeah, I know there's a
Mhm.
union. Doesn't mean that they won. Unions are synonymously weak in America, unfortunately. Um, but I'll
So
say that with TV shows, the main actor will get the executive producer role. You'll always see that. Every time you watch a television series and it's American made, you will
mhm.
always see the lead actor. It also gets executive privilege.
Smallville, Tom Welling, he got the executive.
Yep. Yeah. Anything that you watch, you always get that. So they'll have some small say, very, very small say over the direction of their character, and they also get royalties whenever it goes to DVD sales or any kind of distribution, including when it goes to reruns, syndication.
Yeah.
So the other actors, however, do not get that, which is why you always want top billing.
Is that why Bill Cosby's remember his son-in-law? He was actually in the grocery store. What was his name?
Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah,
Malcolm
I was thinking
Jamal,
of
I think it was Warner.
I wasn't thinking of him, but someone else. The one who married Sandra
Okay,
in
anyway.
Cosby Show.
I don't
Yeah,
remember who he
whatever.
got married. That was
A
the
couple.
one son. There was only one son. There were four daughters, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So go on. What happened?
Oh, just he was collecting groceries at one of those.
Uh,
Not collecting, bagging groceries, and it's like, hey, weren't you the guy from the Cosby Show? And they took a photo of him, and he's smiling because that's just a nice thing to do. And now it's like he was on the news everywhere, and I can't believe that. Look, this star from 20 years ago. He's like, yeah, those checks stopped coming in for me. I'm sure they didn't stop for Cosby because when they're in syndication, he get a whole lot of that money. But
oh yeah,
every other actor, they've
they
they're
get
still
screwed.
on your they're still on your screen, but and I still stand by my opinion that first time we battled each other about he didn't work that into his contract, then he does not have the right to all of that money. He should
He
have
was
tried.
he was a child actor, man.
Not really child. He
He
was
wasn't a
because
child actor.
this was the son-in-law, not son, but he was
Oh, the son-in-law. Okay,
married to the oldest
to
of the Cosby.
Bonita,
Not
Benita,
Lisa
whatever.
Lisa
The
Bonet,
Benet, yeah.
the daughter who was even older than that.
Okay, I don't remember. Anyway, it was a
Whatever.
long time ago. Cosby Show was a
Yeah.
long time ago. I stopped watching that a long time ago. Anyway,
Can you still watch it now?
I won't. Actually, I probably will. I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, so
I can
comic
separate
books, man.
the actor from the. No, we're still talking about this. Like I wanted
Okay,
to
fine.
Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit. Can you watch a Chris Benoit match? This is a man who
Yeah,
murdered
but
his
I
family.
feel differently about Chris Benoit. Okay, so for anybody who's not familiar, Chris Benoit is a wrestler who wound up getting a lot of concussions in his days being a wrestler. This is before they started checking and stopping chair shots to the head and things
This
like
is
that.
why they stopped chair shots to the
Yeah,
head.
you're okay. You're right. You're more correct than I am. It's specifically because of him because he got so many chair shots to the head that anyway Well, here he got so many chair shots in the head that when he died, they did a they have to posthumously check his brain. They don't have to, but the father agreed to it. They actually exhumed his body. They brought his body back up. They were thinking about maybe cremating him, and they're like, okay, no, but they did bury him. And when they were like, listen, we would like to actually investigate his brain. So he was like, okay, fine, because they wanted to clear his name. I'll tell you why they cleared his name in a moment. They checked his brain, and as it turns out, he had the brain of an 80-year-old. Meanwhile, he was only in his late 30s.
Maybe 40,
So
yeah.
yeah, so he had so many chair shots to the head that it genuinely affected his brain physically. Physically affected his brain. This is C what is it called? CEC or something like that. Where football players getting concussions, blows to the head, stuff like this. Wrestlers, MMA guys getting punched, and boxers getting punched in the head all the time. Anybody who's constantly taking shots to the head or gets hit in the head a lot, especially if it's a major shot, any kind of tragic car accident or something, like you get head trauma, it genuinely affects your brain for the rest of your life, and it changes your personality. It could potentially change everything about you. Chris Benoit at one point actually murdered his wife and his one son, his youngest son. He's still survived by his oldest son. Um, yeah, it's really really super tragic. But
I could still
unlike,
watch his matches.
yeah, I can still watch his matches also, and I still believe that he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame with the. You can disagree. I believe he still deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's simply mentioned this guy had some major, accidents. The thing is that in order to do that, WWE would have to acknowledge that they were partially responsible for this. You know,
Mm,
there are a lot of people who want to argue, oh, well, the company didn't know. All these different places didn't know. That's cute. My grandfather, what do you call it? First generation Italian in America. He got a job working at a paint factory, and this was back when lead was in paint. And he was one of the guys who was up top helping with the stirring of these giant vats and whatnot, with all the smoke coming up, this hot paint, the smoke, the vapors coming up. And um, what do you call it? He actually wound up getting in on this big lawsuit that was put against the company years after the company was for the most part gone, but they still were able to bring it up. And because a lot of people are like, dude, we're getting sick. And it turns out a lot of this is because of lead poisoning. This is clearly, it's the only thing that we all have in common is that we used to work for your company. My
yeah.
grandfather wasn't even showing symptoms at the time, but later on he did. He wound up losing complete control over his left arm except for the hand, which is really freaking weird, right? He could still do things with his hand, still had a tight grip, but he couldn't, move his arm. He couldn't bend the elbow or lift the shoulder very well. And this came because of the nerve damage that inevitably comes with long-term exposure to lead. And if he were a kid, he would have also lost a lot of IQ points. You know, that's something that happens when you're a kid and you're exposed to lead. So anyway, he was in on this lawsuit against the company, and the company did try to argue, well, we didn't know. Well, the trick is, whose responsibility was it to know? You made it, what is it, the government's responsibility? Oh, you want to make a company, so we should investigate all the product and ingredients that you want to use? No, it's your responsibility to do the investigation as best you can. Same thing with asbestos. You know what I'm saying? You put asbestos in these places, you created it, you said you did the tests, you said that everything was okay. We did the tests, the USDA and everything like that did these tests according to what you did, according to what you said. So we did these tests. We couldn't prove that what you were saying was wrong. So we said, okay, good. But then it turns out there's also these other things that are wrong. You didn't check for that. And that's where the problem is. That's where the fault lays. So, these companies are responsible for the lead, for the asbestos, and all these other things that are eventually killing us. Um, so likewise, the WWE would have to acknowledge that, oh yeah, we didn't know that. Vince McMahon to this day, with all the proof against him, has to say, well, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. We stopped doing it. But none of this stuff makes sense to me, that getting hit in the head would go. I've been hit in the head lots of times. There's nothing wrong with me. Sorry, have you seen your show lately? Your show sucks. So with all due respect, I think that you have been hit in the head too many times. But that's beside the point. Chris Benoit's, finishing move was the flying headbutt. Yes, he chose that to be the case, but he was also working for you. And that, unfortunately, also goes back to the argument that I made earlier. These guys are considered freelancers. Oh, exclusive freelancers, like freaking who's a wrestler right now? Braun Strowman. You know what I'm saying? Bray Wyatt, my favorite one, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. He's considered a freelancer for WWE. Can he pick up and go freelance for AEW also?
Yeah, he's an independent contractor, and in that contract is a no competes.
Which is and that no compete also means for like what 6 months or up to 5 years for any other company. Brock Lesnar almost went hungry. He almost got bankrupt because of that. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to break my contract right now because I'm sick of this nonsense that you're doing with me and whatnot. This is stupid. Stone Cold got away with breaking his contract, but
No,
Brock
he didn't
Lesnar,
wrestle somewhere else, did he?
no, the point is they tried to screw him over and they said you can't do anything. They tried to say he can't do MMA.
Hmm.
Like they were like, dude, we're not going to sue you. We're going to sue the MMA companies. We're going to sue the UFC. And the UFC at the time was not big enough to go against Vince McMahon. You know, they were not nearly big enough. So that was terrifying. And they were like, we can't take you. We can't afford to go up against a giant like Vince McMahon, you know? So like, oof, this all of it's just nonsense. This is big business taking complete control over poor people, little people, and people who just want to do this, that, and the other thing. And they're just it's exploitation of labor, you know. So
But with the gradual decrease that happened to your granddad with the lead,
mhm.
don't sleep with your cell phone next to your brain because slowly but surely that radiation will get to you. Public service
um,
announcement.
as a former electrical engineer, that radiation does not just seep through, man. That radiation does not just seep through your phone. It's a receiver, and then it translates afterwards. Like
So what I
there's
just said was wrong.
yeah, it's the radiation you're talking about is RF. Like RF is a radio frequency. It's just like if you live near telephone lines, if just anywhere, like it goes through the what do you call it? Your radio, AM FM radio. Like it's everywhere. So
I'm not an engineer, but
no
I watched
worries.
something on CBC which explained that they.
Yeah, that would explain it. CBC don't know Jack. These guys don't know Jack, man.
Okay.
That's like the History Channel guy with it must be aliens. It's obviously aliens.
Now, I'm not sure
Oh,
what you're talking about. History Channel guy said there's aliens. There
there's
must
a
be
guy in
aliens.
the History Channel from a long time ago that was trying to discuss alien civilization and permeating America and blah 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 blah. And it's a meme and it's a freaking hysterical meme. Yeah, it just had really weird hair and everything. Would be like, it's obviously aliens. The Animal Planet did like 2 features about mermaids or something like that. Like they were real. It's like, dude, are you kidding me right now? So yeah, no, this some things unfortunately are not very scientific, and CBC is definitely not one of it. It's state-run media for crying out loud. It's state-sponsored media. um, what do you call it? So you know what? I'm going to say this is a good segue into rumor mongering on websites. I've talked for a long time about how much I hate so many of these comic book websites, and I'm going to name Bleeding Cool probably the worst of them, but Comic Book Resources and as another, Newsarama, AIPT, all of these big ones that that are out there and whatnot. Like they're terrible, they're horrible, and the more followers they get, the more they feel the need to make up stories and to take other people's rumors and whatnot. And they're just pathetic with the way they do these things. When I report on something, it's usually something where I've talked to the actual creator. I've talked to somebody who's actually in charge of things, whether it's through email or through, DMs or one-on-one if I see them at a convention, I hate reporting on just rumors and whatnot. So to give you an example of some of the rumors that are out there right now, this week on these comic book channels,
Uh-huh.
Fantastic Four, Emily Blunt is saying that she doesn't know anything about her being Sue Storm for the Fantastic Four in the MCU. She says, you'll have to ask Feige. Now, you can already see how these different websites have manufactured the story to say, well, she's saying you'd have to talk to Feige, but she didn't deny it outright. So there's
Right.
still the rumors that blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, Black Widow projected to make 90 to 130 million dollars at the box office for its opening weekend, just the weekend.
Only
Yeah, only. That's for the opening weekend. And
domestically.
that's long term by the way, because it doesn't come out until more than a month from now, like a month and a half from now. It comes out on the 24th of April, 2020, this year, right? So the
They moved
24th
it
of
ahead a
April.
week.
Okay. So if yeah, I think that was the case because there was the British thing. They're ahead of the British by a week. So you might have actually been looking at one of the British websites.
No,
I
no.
don't remember
In the
them bumping
trailer,
it
it
up.
says May 1st. That first trailer they released in
Oh,
December.
is it so? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm looking at a stupid freaking British website. I don't know. Can't tell anymore. Either way, those are facts. Those are things you can actually report on. The long-term, long-range estimated type, and this is the release date and things like that. And I still got it wrong, apparently. One of us got it wrong. You know what? Let's do real time. Let's look out, because I actually looked up Black Widow movie. Black
Infinity War got moved up
Widow.
also. Robert Downey Jr. tweeted, "It's not coming in May 1st. It's coming April 24th."
Oh, get the frick out. Okay. So anyway, yeah, this is saying that in the USA, it's going to come out on the 24th of April, 2020.
Nice.
So yeah, apparently I'm right. Um, didn't doubt myself until you said otherwise, but I'm still questioning
If you
your thing that Rob was talking about because that's to me that's suspect. To me that's suspect.
Both are
These.
things I watched in a YouTube video. You'll see May 1st in the Black Widow trailer, and then you'll see
Mhm,
Rob talk about you're gonna be comic book characters.
mhm.
But yeah, obviously you gotta doubt everything until you see for yourself. I encourage that.
Especially like with all due respect again, dude, Rob is one of my inspirations. I'm sure he's one of yours also for getting into the comic book news and talking about comic books and whatnot. But with all due respect, Rob is a huge channel and he's really just scraping for content at this point. You know what I'm saying? And just
But
like a
the
lot of these
actors
big guys.
themselves didn't doubt what he
The
just said.
Yeah, but the actors themselves also never read the comic books.
Mhm.
As your description indicated, they've never read the comic books. They don't know this. They don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. How did Rob get this information? Because the exact same exposure that he gets to Valiant Comics is the exact same exposure that I get to Valiant Comics. They send Rob stuff. They send me the exact same stuff. Like Valiant Comics sends me emails that don't go out as public knowledge. They come out to me, to Rob, to I don't know if they go to Benny. I think they would. They go to I know they also go to Comic Pop. You know what I'm saying? Sal. They go to Sal also. He changed his mind completely about Valiant Comics once he started getting insider information from Valiant. You know what I'm saying? Which was he hated Valiant Comics. Hey, we're going to send you free stuff. I love Valiant Comics. They're really good. I'm casting shade. I'm casting some shade. So yeah, none of these guys get any more information than I do. You know what I'm saying? And I've never heard of this stuff. So like with all due respect, sorry, Rob talks about some stuff that nobody's ever heard of before, and then turns out to be nothing. Yeah, I've seen the weathermen on TV. You know why they're called the weathermen? They don't know whether it's going to rain, whether it's going to snow. They don't know whether it's going to be sunny. That's why they're called weathermen. So I'm sticking by that. More rumors in these stupid freaking comic book sites. That unfortunately comic book channels. I'm gonna call out. What are they called? Comic Book Cast 2. That's all that this channel has become. This is one of the first comic book channels out there. He was out there with Variant doing the first comic book channels, and now it's literally just become a rumor mongering thing. I just saw on such and such website that the rumor is,
Oh, that's
and
Armin, right?
yes, that's his name,
Uh,
Armin,
I'm
Bosnian guy,
like
right?
you. I just recently had to unsubscribe on my phone because how many times are you gonna tell me this further? Sorry, I shouldn't mock his voice, but he'll be like, this further confirms that the Sony movies are part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, come on,
You want me to
man.
read you the exact quote for anybody who wants to
Yeah,
challenge
go ahead.
that and or really believes that Sony is part of Marvel? This is what Kevin Feige. Look, The only thing I can tell you right now is,
Mhm.
according to Sony, it's part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or, according to Disney, it's not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anything else I say should be ignored, or it's just circumstantial evidence. This is what Feige said when the
Mhm.
Spider-Man and Sony Marvel film rights were renegotiated and they agreed. This was like in September. I am thrilled that Spidey's journey in the MCU will continue. And I and all of us at Marvel Studios are very excited that we get to keep working on it. Spider-Man is a powerful icon and hero whose story crosses all ages and audiences around the globe. He also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. So as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold. To me, I, with my ears, because I've got two of them. You see one here? See
Mhm.
the other one there?
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, they work. And I heard him say universes, plural. And then I heard him distinguish and tell you that Sony has their own version of a
Yep.
universe. Now, you might get Tom Holland appearing in one of their films, and that just happens to be his superpower to do that.
Yeah.
Open and shut case.
Yes. Yes. And if you want to delve deeper, sometimes that contract information actually gets released. And you could find those sources, and I've done it before, where they actually point out, no, they're very different. In fact, there's a reason why MJ is not actually Mary Jane. Oh, her nickname is MJ, but it's not really Mary Jane. She doesn't have the red hair.
Michelle Jones.
Yes, that's not the MJ from the comic book universe. Genki is there, but it's not really Genki, is it? And he's not supposed to be with Peter Parker. He's supposed to be with Miles. But they do these things because look, here's some characters that don't actually exist in the comic books, and you can't use them in what do you call it? Sony. You can't use it in your own universes. That's how come Venom never crossed over with Spider-Man, never crossed over with MJ or Genki or any of those characters and showed up and it's like, oh, we better run because it's bad. Look, cameo, it's a crossover world. No, they can't mix. They can't mix. Those Sony Marvel crossovers are not even in the Sonyverse. They're completely separate. They're not allowed to cross them over. It's already been proven. So all these gossip mongers and rumor mongers, it saddens me because I don't even know how they could be used as entertainment. It's like, dude, it's just somebody talking about whatever. It's most of these comic book sites, they're only making stories about a tweet. That's what, 240 characters, something like that,
Or less.
or less. Yeah, right, maximum. Unless you're going to do multiple tweets. It's like, oh, Gail Simone is tweeting. Let's make an article about it. And then somebody like Armin goes and freaking makes a video about it, about the article, which is based on the tweet, which is based on freaking hyperbole at best. Like, oh my God, I don't understand these people. What is happening? So yeah, here, let's report on some nonsense. Eva Green, who's supposed to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, they're still questioning, are you supposed to play Nightmare in the movie? Which would mean that you'd be playing a crossover because this is actually supposed to be a male character and you'd be a female. Are you going to be, what's going on? What's happening? Poke, poke, nudge, nudge. And she says, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, so according to what she said and the way that she answered, blah, 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 she literally said, I don't know what the F you're talking about. What's the thing to report there? You know what I'm saying? Maybe she'll be Clea. Who do you think she'll be? Personally, if she's even going to be in the movie, and there's no guarantee that she's going to be in the movie, I don't know where this is coming from. But if she does turn out to be in the movie, okay, they'll confirm it later. But for now, I think Umar, Dormammu's sister. But hey, all that, being what it is, who cares? We don't know. Like, why are people reporting on this stuff? Hey, the latest rumor. Fin Fang Foom is rumored to be appearing in Shang-Chi, Legend of the Five Rings. Could you imagine that?
Rumor from where? Because he was at the end of a comic book this week?
Was he?
Black Panther Agents of Wakanda.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I didn't read it. I thought you said you weren't reading it either.
I don't read Black Panther.
I said you said that you couldn't get into it because it's only like 2 issues and then
Oh yeah,
storyline
yeah, oh
two
yeah,
issues.
yeah. I said that that's damaging my enjoyment. I'm still reading it though.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, go figure. I stopped reading it. Literally, like these are just stupid freaking rumors. But this is all that most of these websites have to go off of. This is all that so many of these comic book channels have to go off of. And it's like, dude, what do you get here? You guys want to cut through the rumors and let's get into actual facts? Okay. So, Black Widow, scheduled to come out on the 24th of April this year. Eternals, scheduled to come out later in the year, November 6th. All right. Hey, what about next year? February 12th. The, oh crap, which movie is
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, thank you very much. That's coming out. And March 7th, March, they always love March. That's when Doctor Strange is supposed to come out. Those are the next four Marvel Cinematic Universe movies coming out this year and next year.
I think you
That's
mean
the
May
fact.
7th, not March 7th.
Did I say March? Because I did write May. There you go. Thank you for the correction. So, and yeah, May. May is the big thing when they always like to release their big movies. They're hoping they're going to be big. Avengers and everything else. They always keep May. Like, nope, May's ours. We bought May. We bought May. So, and if
Unless they want
anybody,
to damage Shazam and they want to make their movie come out a week before because that was a March release.
yeah,
April.
yeah. That was a special one. But whatever. Hey, it worked. It worked. You know. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, there's always the idea that you try and find that sweet spot when people like to watch movies, and then you try to repeat that. You know, when do people? You know, we in general know that new media like books comes out on Tuesdays. You know, comic books come out on Wednesdays. New movies drop on Thursday nights or Fridays. You know, and blah blah blah, yakety schmackety, whatever. Right? We always get that feeling for when new media is coming out. But that's something that just kills me about so many of these freaking channels, man. They do not know what they're talking about, and yet they keep on talking. And it makes me wonder, are we just doing things wrong? Chill, are we doing things wrong?
We got to start exaggerating truths.
Yeah, we got to start manufacturing content.
You
So,
got any ideas?
yes, don't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can expect just truth from us, man. Truth bombs dropping, baby, dropping. So what else you got? Because that's all I've got.
Ooh. Let me open
Oh.
my sheet. We touched on some of the stuff I wanted to mention, like the whole Bloodshot thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some news that is straight out of a horse's mouth.
Okay.
Tessa Thompson says
Yes.
Christian Bale is going to be the villain. She was getting interviewed on one of those Entertainment Tonight red carpet things.
Mm-hmm.
And since she said it, I'm going with it. Christian Bale plays a villain. Now, depending on what story they decide.
I am going to, however, I am an English professor, and I am going to focus on the articles that were used. The three articles in speech are an, because that's just, you know, or and, depending if there's a vowel sound, not the letter, but the sound specifically, or the. Those are the three articles in the English language. So she didn't say a villain. You said it right the first time. Yes, the villain. And I think that it's implied what the difference is. A villain, oh, that could be like, you know, whatever, one of Two-Face's henchmen. The villain is Two-Face. Two-Face. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, he's going to be playing the villain.
There's Hela and there's Scourge.
Yeah.
And there's, who's the big red guy with the sword? Surtur. Like, there were 3 villains in that film.
Yep. And all the little monsters, the skeletal warriors.
Yeah.
Oh, and Loki. Yeah, he's playing both sides in that one. So villainish.
They said at Comic-Con, Taika Waititi himself said we're taking inspiration from Jason Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say the villain and Jason Aaron, Gore the God Butcher is probably who I'm thinking about.
He's the. Because here's the thing that I try to look at. A lot of people have been rumor mongering. Oh, Mephisto, he'd be a great Mephisto, blah, 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 blah. This is where fan casting comes into a huge problem. And I have a terrible problem with fan casting. I don't do it because I think it's silly. You know, people go by who looks like who. Yeah, but what if this person can't act? You know, what do you call it? Ronda Rousey would make a great looking She-Hulk. Do we think that she can act? I don't think she can act to save her life. Like she's horrible. Whether it's Expendables or that Fast and Furious movie, like she's gorgeous. She's amazing at everything that she does, except acting. She's just not great at acting. She's got to work on that, and then she'll be amazing at that also. But for now, she kind of sucks at it. That being said, oh, and she's good at wrestling. Hey, imagine that.
Oh, yeah, she's really good at that.
Oh yeah, which has definitely improved her acting skills, I'm sure, right? But what do you call it? The trick is what we really have to look at is what is his contract and what is he likely to sign? Do we think that because we don't know what his contract is, how many movies he may or may not have been signed to, but when we think about Christian Bale, how many movies is he likely to sign to commit to as far as the Marvel Universe is concerned?
If you ask me, it's one.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. One. You look at somebody like, Chris Evans. Okay, he was signed to a 9-picture deal. Some of that stuff, I think that he was extended at some point, and we know that Robert Downey Jr. was extended. Those last two Avengers movie, Infinity War and Endgame, I believe he made $70 or $75 million per movie.
Well deserved. He knew his worth. He put that in the contract, and they wouldn't have used him if they didn't think they had to.
That's right. That's right. He knew that he had them, and he did what he had to do to get what he was worth. Dude can pretty much retire now.
He's the only guy who could have done that since he was the first movie. Ed Norton could have if they continued using him, because his contract would have expired at one point, and it would have been like, oh, okay, 2012 Avengers. That's how much? $1.5 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me step into the negotiating table with my best dressed. How much million? No. I'm gonna need a little bit. I think he gets a percentage, right? Because he didn't get 75 million. Like that's the agreement. He got a percentage of the movie box office.
I think that was part of it also. I'm thinking his flat fee. So I didn't see his contract. We're going by what was actually reported based on numbers that I've never actually seen. But he also acknowledged that yes, this is what he made, and those figures were very specific per movie. I'd have to find the articles again. It's literally just something that I'm remembering and I'm recalling and saying right now. It wasn't part of what I was actually planning on reporting. So yeah, I don't actually have those.
So Chris Evans, his deal was negotiated midway in between?
No, it was from the beginning. They were allowed to renegotiate how much they were going to earn. And fortunately, a lot of that was because Robert Downey Jr. was like, yeah, listen, you guys are saying that these guys can't get any more money. That's not cool. In that case, I don't think I want to come back for any more movies. Yeah.
What a hero.
Robert Downey Jr. straight up. He's the hero that Iron Man should be. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he just came right up and he went to bat for his peeps. And he's like, listen, these guys are doing a great job also. Why am I making, all these millions, but they're not? And realistically it only helped him also because he's like, hey, so by the way, since you did renegotiate their contracts, he renegotiated his also to make even more. So it worked. He is the outsiders. He's the Kevin Nash and Scott Hall from the NWA days right here in the MCU. It worked. They made some good bank.
The New World Order?
Heck yeah. Well, they were the outsiders first until they brought in Hulk Hogan. So
when they got Chris Evans and renegotiated, so he agreed to do Captain America: The First Avenger, The Avengers, Winter Soldier, the Avengers: Age of Ultron, Civil War. He was kind of in Thor: The Dark World for like a minute when Loki impersonated him. He was kind of in Spider-Man: Homecoming during those teacher. Infinity War. Endgame. Did Ant-Man have him? They said his name in Ant-Man and the Wasp a couple times. His name. Yeah, that's the 9 pictures there then.
Yep.
And I think Captain Marvel also has. Do you know exactly how many? I heard 9 also.
I heard. I've got the number 6 in my head. I'm not sure if it applies to her or somebody else, but it might be 9 also. I don't know. Excuse me.
We should do that with everyone. So Bruce Banner was in.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that now. Come on, man. So what was the original thing that you were talking about?
Talking about, of course, the rumor that Tessa Thompson brought up Gore the God Butcher.
So your suspicion and my suspicion, or our thoughts are the exact same on this. Based on who, so that's the difference between the whole rumor mongering and fan casting and reporting on rumors and stuff like it's nonsense. She obviously slipped up and said that no, he's going to be the villain, and then later on it's like, oh shoot, I don't think I was supposed to reveal that information. Um, what do you call it? That may have been a slip. It may have been purposely planted. I don't think Marvel is that sophisticated where they're trying to, spread info or hint at this, that, or the other thing. So I really think it was just a genuine split, misspeak. Anyway, so she said that he's going to be the villain of the film. It is going to be based on Jason Aaron's run. If Thor is going to be, losing the hammer to Jane Foster, even if it's just for that one movie, then because I can't see Natalie Portman sticking around for that long. We know how haughty she is. She wants everything to be built around her. So unless they're going to say, yeah, you're the new Thor from this point forward, then no, she's not going to come back any more movies. She's just going to be in this one likely.
She's not gonna. That's not gonna happen at all. Everybody, I'm
Mhm.
talking to you, internet rumor YouTubers who want to just the MCU has SJW tendencies. They're gonna
Oh, the comic
replace
creators,
Cap.
yeah. Screw them.
But you said she's gonna take his hammer. That happened in comic book world, but
Yes.
right now there's no hammer in that universe.
We don't know what happened.
Just Stormbreaker. There's
We
no
don't know
Mjolnir.
what happened to Mjolnir.
Hela destroyed it.
Yeah, and then Captain America went back and got it. He was using that, remember?
When he went back in time at the end of Endgame, he was holding the hammer, and he, I think he put it back to where it was supposed to be in Thor: The Dark World.
But we didn't see that.
No, we saw him leaving with the hammer.
Yeah, but we didn't see where he put it.
Why wouldn't he return it back to the universe he took it from? The whole point of everything was so that things could return to normal.
I hear what you're saying. I don't know. Well, I didn't see him put it back, so maybe he didn't. He didn't put
I'm
his shield
guessing
back. What happened to his shield?
his shield?
So, like, just the whole thing,
No,
like the whole
the shield
he
belongs.
wasn't able to put back the Tesseract, right? Because the Tesseract was already gone. So there's a lot of things that just, whatever. It's the whole what if thing. Maybe he put it back. Who cares? For now, let's just say he put it back. Anyway, so she's going to somehow become Thor. They're going to base, this off of the Lady Thor thing, Jane Foster becoming Thor. So boom. Maybe it's going to be with Stormbreaker. Maybe they're going to refashion the hammer or something like that. I don't know. But
the movie Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness
Mhm.
may play a part into why there's a Jane Foster who's Thor now. Maybe she'll come out of a portal and she's part of our universe now.
It could be as simple as that, or something more. Again, all of that's just fan casting, speculation,
It
things
could be
like
anything.
that. But in general, the Christian Bale thing, it only makes sense to me that they would not want him to be Mephisto if he's only signed for one deal, and he might just decide to say, screw it. Because, yeah, they could recast. I mean, they did it for Rhodey. You know what I'm saying? They did it for a bunch of people, but in general, they don't really want to recast people, you know? So I think that they would give him Gore, the God Butcher, the God of Bombs, just for the sake of conversation. It's a one shot. If they can get him to come back for another movie, I'm certain that they would. But I don't think they're going to trust that he's going to want to sign a multi-year contract to be Mephisto.
He's one of the villains I would kill. How many stories of Gore actually exist in comics after that first one that they tell? All right, I believed in gods, I prayed, and yes, my problem disappeared because Thanos snapped his fingers. And then 5 years later, the same problematic people came back, and now I'm mad.
Yeah, that works. And then you kill him, and it's done. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you see him in a What If or something like that. Who knows? Maybe you see him in the Phase 6 Endgame, version thing, whatever, But in general, that's if he even wants to come back. But in general, nah. You know what I'm saying? Have him as a one-off character because we don't want Mephisto to only show up for one lousy movie. We want to have somebody who's not as big a recognized name. We want them to discover a new talent, somebody who's hungry, who's willing to sign a 9-year contract to try and force them to give him more, to invest more in him and whatnot. Yeah, that's what I think that's what we're looking for. And and Mephisto doesn't have to be in 9 freaking movies. But I wouldn't balk if he were.
Get ready for Tom Holland to, when his contract expires, I want to say he's going to die. Like he'll do a Spider-Man film, which is in partnership with Sony, but that next one that he's yeah, but that next one that's a Marvel completely our universe, they'll probably kill him and they'll say like they'll do their Miles Morales stuff. Get
Oh
ready for
no.
that.
In the original contract, I'm talking about Tom Holland's contract. He's only scheduled to do one Sony movie, like only Sony, not involving the MCU. So in the Venomverse, as it stands right now, the only character in the only Sony universe is the Venomverse. You know?
The Sonyverse and the Venomverse are different.
No. They're the same. The Sonyverse
Yeah,
right now, the only movie in the Sony
is
universe
Venom.
is Venom. And then there's the MCU over here, and then in the middle they've got the MCU slash Sony Spider-Verse. That's the in-between
That's
thing.
so. What's inside of that?
Spider-Man and everything that we've seen in those two movies.
That's not how the way I think of it. And we're using visuals. I think of it as this: the MCU
Mhm.
is where Homecoming and Far From Home take place.
No, it's technically still crossing. In general, yeah, you could say that. You could argue it, I guess. But either way, no matter how you're going to put that, the Sonyverse is by itself, and the only character that's realistically in the Sonyverse. Because yeah, I could see your point of view also. I could see that also. But since Spider-Man hasn't crossed over into that Sonyverse, the only universe that he's actually in right now would be the MCU then, right?
Right.
So, but
So
he's
if
crossing universes.
now let's pretend Morbius comes out or Venom 2 comes out and
Yes.
Spider-Man is in it. Tom Holland, when he unmasks, it's really him.
Hmm.
Even then, I wouldn't say that is a third universe. I would say in the universe Sony owns,
Uh-huh.
there happens to be a guy named Spider-Man who looks like Tom Holland. But that doesn't at all affect a single thing in the MCU, and there's no universe in the middle that shares
I
because
hear,
Marvel
here
won't.
here's the thing. Marvel has made it so in the contract, Sony only gets one time to do that with Tom Holland, unless Tom Holland re-signs with them. So
Yeah, how does
in the
that disprove what I just said though? Everything is.
because what if he doesn't re-sign? You get it?
Tell me, no.
If he chooses not to resign, then that's just one time that he meets Spider-Man, and it's like, oh no, it's Spider-Man, get him, and who cares?
Yeah, so Sony's incompetent? Is that what you're saying? That's
Well,
what that would mean?
undeniably. In general, here, this is where it starts to get a little bit funny for me. Um, if they only get one movie with him as Spider-Man, do they want to commit to him to being Spider-Man in the Sony universe, in the Venomverse,
Short-term
so to speak?
profit, yes.
Sure,
That for that
yes,
one movie.
yes, for that one movie. The trick is they're going to try and milk this for as much as they possibly can, and they're going to try and say, "Look, Marvel is part of this." They're doing everything they
They
can to say,
are.
"Look, we're in the Marvel universe. We're in the Marvel universe," but they're not. The contract is stated explicitly they are not. And while we don't have access to the entire contract, we do have the points that Feige has talked about, and that oh, what's his name? I did a video about it. The guy who used to be in charge of the Fox
Avi
verse. Huh?
Aran?
Oh
Avi
no,
Aran?
Avi Arad is just this tick that's
Hmm.
embedded in the flesh of anything Spider-Man related, and they can't get rid of him. Um,
Amy Pascal?
Amy Pascal now went over to Universal. No, her boss, who used to be in charge of Fox Studios. Can't remember his name right now, but anyway, that guy. And he's going to want to milk this for as much as he possibly can. So he only gets one movie right
Not
now.
true. Not true.
Go on.
When the contract expires, Sony still owns the film rights, so he gets more than at one movie. He can
You're
do
saying
Spider-Man.
you're saying Tom Holland.
Oh, Tom Holland. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because
Yes.
Tom Holland's not going to agree to any Sony exclusive where he can't
We
do
don't
Marvel.
we don't know that. We don't know that.
Tom Holland is. I know that Tom Holland wouldn't do that to me.
I got you. But the thing is, then he won't be able to be Spider-Man anymore because
Yeah,
Spider-Man is
boo-hoo.
owned by.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be Spider-Man if it wasn't canon with Marvel, anyways. Yeah, what's the point of that?
A lot of money. And plus him
Yeah.
getting cast at that. I mean, where's Tobey Maguire been as of late? Where's Andrew Garfield been as late?
Yeah, didn't Andrew Garfield get nominated for an Oscar movie that I didn't see because it was an Oscar movie, so I didn't see it.
Exactly. Exactly, right? So at the end of the day, like there is a lot of reason to want to re-sign that contract. So there's that.
No. Tom Holland's being taken care of. He's in a movie right now with Disney Pixar. They like him.
Which movie is that?
Onward.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
an
haven't watched
animated
that
film.
movie in forever.
Right. Well, this Tom Holland guy's loyalty will be rewarded by Disney and all of their properties.
Maybe that would be cool if they did court him and said, "Hey." So then that's the big thing with the one movie that they get to make with Tom Holland. What do they do with it? Because if they turn around, it's like, "Oh look, Spider-Man, here he is, and here's the next movie," and it's not him, it's somebody else. Do they Spider-Verse it? Like, do they have
Disney
Tom
or
Holland?
Sony?
So it would have to be Sony.
Yeah.
So
Disney could still make a web series depending on the contract, which I haven't seen. Could they still do a web series with Spider-Man and say, "Look,
series?
It's not a movie, a web series"? Like Disney Plus.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Only Disney.
TVs.
Yeah, only Disney can do that. Disney has the rights to do. I believe they have the rights to do TV. It's always funny why they don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Because Jeff Loeb.
Like with Fox,
that guy was in charge of Marvel TV.
Yeah, Fox had the rights to do, or Fox only had the rights to do the X-Men movies, and the same thing with the Fantastic Four, only the movies. But they wanted to do the Gifted and Legion, and was there another one? Just those two, Gifted and Legion.
Mm-hmm.
But Marvel had to agree to it, and they just agreed to it for money. They didn't do anything else with it. So. Yeah, it was the idea that they technically could have put it in the TV series, but who wants to see Spider-Man in the TV? So now maybe that's something that they will do. And the question is, can they hire Tom Holland to do it? I don't know. Because
I think so. Because it's not just TV anymore. Now Disney Plus, after Mandalorian and the acclaim that it's received, I don't. And maybe you do still, I don't know, but I don't look at Disney Plus. It's just another TV thing. No, this is as
Disney
legit.
Plus. Yeah, it's 100% legit, especially once all these TV series start coming out. But here's the thing. Again, I'm going back to the contract. The reason why they made MJ and got a new Spider-Man was because Marvel specifically said, no, we're not going to use Andrew Garfield, because then it connects to your Amazing Spider-Man verse.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get a whole new character. So maybe Disney was super duper duper smart, and they said, you guys can't use such and such and such. But they also haven't used it over in the Marvel, the MCU either. We didn't see MJ and, oh wait, no, we did see MJ and Genki appear at the end, didn't we? Wait, where was that end credits scene? That was
Ned
at the end of...
was in Avengers Endgame.
So
and Ned Leeds is a character in Amazing Spider-Man comic books. You hear me now?
Thank you. Yeah, that was all me. I accidentally I heard a beep and I was like, did I just increase my volume or something like that? Anyway.
Thought I was lagging.
So okay, so anyway, so wow, Marvel was really sneaky with that. They made it so that Sony can't do that. So Sony can't have any of those characters in one of their movies.
That's what having Ned Leeds at the end of Endgame proves. Maybe they negotiated that.
And here's the thing: that Ned Leeds, they can't use that Ned Leeds. Who's a mixture of Ned Leeds and Genki.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one character that's different. So they can have the regular old Ned Leeds in there. They can have regular old Betty Brant. They can have regular old Genki in the movies. Sure, why not? But they can't have that Genki in there. They can't have that MJ in the movies.
Zendaya.
Yeah, Zendaya, whatever. She's going to be in Dune anyway as Chani, so I'm good with it. But yeah, so apparently Marvel can. Interesting. Anyway, like I said, Fox is fortunately no longer in the picture.
Fortunately,
they're not in the picture business either. They're not in the picture with Marvel, so that's the Marvel characters. So that right there is a good thing. But Spider-Man's the only really big one that's like, oh my god, in question. Hulk and Namor are the only other two, but they're not nearly as big. So with Spider-Man, like I said, Fox only gets one more unless he agrees to something, and then again, they might have to just redo the universe. So if they're going to redo the universe anyway, my opinion would be that they just have Venom actually kill Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? When they
Mm,
get the one movie, actually have him kill him. But then there's the multiverse because they've got the Spider-Verse. So just have the cartoon mix over, and then either have somebody new playing Peter Parker or bring in Miles Morales.
yeah.
You know, because how sick would that be? So, and they're already talking about trying to find somebody to play Green Goblin. You know, so maybe you wind up having the ultimate version of the Green Goblin, and it winds up killing Peter Parker. How sick would that be?
Does Ultimate Green Goblin have waves in his hair?
No.
Mm,
Well, the Green Goblin version, no. The Norman Osborn version, yes, he does. Why?
yeah, that's all I want.
You
I
just
want
want
to see
waves
what
in
that
the hair?
looks like in real life. Someone
Okay.
needs to actually act and have his little wavy. I don't know what that looks like because drawing, it's always funny.
It is. It is a really weird haircut. But anyway, all right. So what else you got?
I got Star Wars: The Emperor, according to the novel, was a clone.
Yes, a failed clone at that. It was a failed clone. No, I think that's perfect. I think
Why?
that's perfect. Well, because the Emperor was the most powerful of any of the Force users ever. I mean, fight me. You know what I'm saying? He was way more powerful than Yoda. The way that um the original trilogy went, it was like he just had this huge army behind him, you know, and he was really old, but Yoda was still supposed to be the most powerful one. But then when they suddenly made the prequels, there's Emperor
Hmm.
Palpatine sitting in front of three, minimum three, actually there's more than three, but a whole bunch of the most powerful Jedi on the council, and they're like, we cannot see. He specifically asked him, he's like, so, did you find out anything about this dark Jedi? Always shrouded in mystery is the dark side. Nothing can I see. I have no idea that you're actually the main freaking villain of all of these movies. I have no freaking clue. Yoda was stupid. Yoda was a punk in that one, dude. Like he and Obi-Wan and freaking what's his face? Samuel L.
Mace
Jackson as Mace
Windu,
Windu. Like
Qui-Gon
all these
Jinn.
guys, the one guy with the head, the moon-shaped head and all that, they were all a bunch of freaking idiots. They could like, here's the main bad guy. You're sitting in the same room with him multiple times, but here you're right there talking about this subject. You're specifically reaching out the force right now, and it's like you're like us tall people, we always have to be careful about tripping over things. You know what I'm saying? Because we're so
Mm.
tall. It's like you're walking in. Let me make sure I don't hit my head, and you trip and fall right in your face. You hit your head anyway, dumbass. Not the way you thought you were going to. Like these guys were a bunch of idiots without beyond the shadow of a doubt. Emperor Palpatine was the most powerful dude out there, you know? And I know that people like to talk about, oh no, but Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker was technically the most powerful. No, Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be the chosen one. It doesn't mean he had to be the most powerful one because he never displayed any of the power that the freaking Emperor had. The only reason why he was even able to kill the Emperor is because he snuffed him. He was focused on Luke. Luke was more powerful. Like, Mace Windu was like, I got my hand cut off. Zzz, I'm being shot. Oh, I'm being thrown out of the window. And he's definitely dead. They definitely confirmed he is definitely dead. So then we look at Luke Skywalker, who's like, ow, 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 father, please, ow, yo, this sucks, ow, is somebody gonna help me? Ah. Like he's multiple times getting jacked up. And Vader's just like, while you're focusing on him, my one-handed ass is coming over and
With my mechanically
he gets
enhanced
shot just a
strength.
little bit, and then just ow, ow,
And
ow,
that took him
throws
out.
him.
That took out Vader. Just the one little shock.
And Luke is like, ow, I'm hurt. Don't worry, Dad. I'm still going to drag you all the way across this entire freaking battle stage. Yo, Luke was the man. Luke
Was, yeah.
was the big daddy pump. He walked out there like, like he was,
Constructing his own lightsaber.
dude, Luke was the best of the freaking Jedi, hands down. Qui-Gon was cool, still got punked out. I'm just going to point that out. All right. I'm just going to point that out. But freaking, like Yoda couldn't even stop Count Dooku, for crying out loud. Count Dooku, who was tired as hell after like, oh, I'm fight these guys. I got into this lightsaber battle with freaking, Luke Skywalker's dad, Anakin. You know what I'm saying? And we're just like, you remember those scenes like, oh, and then Luke, what do you call it? Anakin's like, oh, and they're trying to show the face up. Like, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's just like, I can see we're going to have to figure this out with the Force. And throwing Force back and forth. All that was cute. But
And Count
dude,
Dooku escaped Yoda only because he was dropping rocks on Anakin and Obi-Wan.
why'd Yoda allow it?
Why did Yoda allow him to drop the rocks?
They could have stopped everything right there, and they acknowledge it.
What do
If
you mean?
Yoda had the power to stop everything right there, it's like, boom, I got you, Dooku. Now we're going to pump you for information. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get you. We're going to get you right now. All right. There's nowhere for you to run. We got you. We're going to get all the
Yes.
information that you had. Remember, he had that information of the Death Star. The Death Star could have been completely averted. All of
Yes.
that stuff done right there. You got no Death Star. You got no apprentice. Emperor Palpatine, well, whoever you are, okay, Darth Sidious, we're going to find out some stuff. And they wouldn't have known that it was necessarily Darth Sidious, but it would have put him back a lot because now he's got to find a new apprentice. Maybe he could have been start trying to pump Anakin a little bit earlier. Maybe it would have been too fast. And Anakin would have been like, I'm not falling for this crap. You're the bad guy. Maybe it would have seriously thwarted his plans and he wouldn't have become nearly as powerful as he was because Yoda was a punk. Let's just face facts, right? He was a punk.
Yoda got beat by him in Revenge of the Sith. And there was no interference.
That's right.
It was a one-on-one. Into exile, I must go. Failed, I have.
Yeah, that's right. You suck. You suck. Off to Dagobah, biatch. You know what I'm saying? They punked out Yoda big time in those freaking prequels. I'm just saying. So Emperor Palpatine coming back as a failed clone, still more powerful than freaking all the other Jedi. I mean, like, dude, he was, and maybe he was just faking a lot of stuff. Maybe he was, pompadouring himself up like with the peacock feathers, talking about, you want to attack me, don't you, Ben? But I'm the Emperor. I'll jack you up. You remember who I am, right? Whoa! What you gonna do? What? And he's just like, okay, I'm not going to because I'm emo. I won't do it. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it was, but the
The
idea that he's a
novel?
failed clone, yeah, the novel. The idea that he was a failed clone, that makes sense to me. I like that.
Yeah, I'm upset with them not including that in them. Oh, I'm upset with the whole movie in general. There's nothing they're gonna say that comes out, and it's very inconsistent. Like that wasn't part of the film. This is something that they're putting in the novel because they know. Oh, they hear the feedback and they're like, "Oh, okay, we're gonna work on it." Ryan Johnson, who did Last Jedi, he was part of the writing staff for that novel also, just because he heard the feedback and he was like, "Okay, let me try to make it right," and he wanted to put his spin on it to make things better. This isn't working for me. Like, it's actually really upsetting that the visual dictionary doesn't mention anything about Emperor Palpatine being a clone or not. No time in promotion did they call him a clone. Even though after the movie came out, it was never like, he was a clone, right? No, this is just novel. He was a clone. Now,
Yeah.
fine. It is better because I want to believe that when Vader lifted him up and dropped him down there and the Death Star exploded, then that was that. There are no more bits and pieces of him. He's dead. It makes that movie matter, I guess. It makes that movie, it doesn't hurt the legacy of that movie by making him a clone.
No, it doesn't. It helps. There's still a lot of things a lot of plot holes. Like, for instance, how powerful was this failed clone that he was just able to make these freaking Death Stars that he'd been building coming out of the dirt? You know what I'm saying? And who piloted these things, right? Like, were they under the dirt the whole time and he just put out a psychic summons? Hey, all of you people who I've been silently recruiting throughout the galaxy without anybody knowing, all start flying right now. Like, did he put out a mental summons? Did he have a button? It's like, listen, when you guys see this button being pushed, you all start flying right there. No, like he mentally brought the things up and then created people to pilot the ships and whatnot. I don't know how that happened, but whatever. There's huge plot holes in all of these movies, but that's when there are too many cooks in the kitchen.
How
That's
could
what you get.
Rey use the Sith dagger to measure it up against the debris from the Death Star to find out where to go? When there shouldn't be debris from a Death Star on the forest moon of Endor. There should just be smithereens.
No, not true. And they even did this in the Star Wars Galaxies video game. That you could still find pieces of the Death Star.
From the movie, there were no pieces. When it explodes and Lando, woohoo!
Well, that was a really far away scene also. You know what I'm saying? It was a really far away
So it was
scene,
big
so.
enough. It was big enough to be that big and on the forest moon of Endor. But since we were so far away, it looked so small we couldn't see it.
Yeah, makes sense to me. They're
Yeah,
solid
it
metal.
does not disprove it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. I mean, like, they turn around later and it's like, oh, by the way, there was debris. I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that. Because like
Are
that
you
that would have to be one hell of a freaking reactor explosion to destroy like the outer layers of the stuff.
so? Are
Yeah.
you okay with the Sith dagger having the Sith language, meaning that someone who was a Sith wrote it? But how could anyone who was a Sith write it if there were no Sith after Darth Sidious dies? Like someone had to have wrote it because it had to have been made after the debris was there. So that's when someone knew how to write it. That just doesn't make sense at all. Like as I'm trying to explain it, I can't make sense of it, and I'm finding myself being lost because of the logic that's not apparent.
I said there's a lot of plot holes in the movie. It's like this one snake. Somehow nobody was able to take care of that snake.
Oh, under
Like,
the quicksand, which had a
yeah.
roof.
Like, I'm sorry, was that Nagina from or Nagini from Harry Potter?
Harry
Is that what
Potter.
happened to that freaking snake? Like, did Neville just show up and cut that one in half also? What's going on? Like,
Then she
all of it's just really weird.
force healed it because she just
Yeah.
knew how to do that. I want to say that the Jedi text, the ancient Jedi text, actually teached her how to force heal, and that had a lot of secrets. That explained why she was so wicked.
But
But at
nobody
no
else
point does
knew how to force heal.
yeah,
It takes Baby
except
Yoda.
for Ben, who could
Yeah, somehow.
resurrect her from the death, and he never saw them ancient Jedi texts in the movies. Maybe we could say
But
that
they
he saw
did have a bond. They did have a bond, so maybe like some of that. I mean, like she made a lightsaber disappear and go to him and stuff like that. So
So does that mean knowledge transferred over also?
maybe. I mean, like maybe she put it in her brain and then it
Nah.
came out in his brain because they both had it behind their back. Honestly, I don't. I'm literally just making headcanon trying to explain something away
I
so
can
I don't
make
go
sense of
crazy
it.
with the movie. Yeah.
I could say that since Luke had the Jedi text, when Ben was a student of Luke, he also went through those and flipped through the texts of the Jedi. So Luke knew how to do it. That's exactly why he knew how to do
How did
his.
Baby Yoda? How did Yiddle know how to do it? Because mind you,
How-
everybody, I call Baby Yoda Yiddle. All right, his name is Yiddle.
Yeah.
If you're
So
a comic book university alumni, you call him Yiddle too.
I don't think it knows how to read the child,
What's
which
what's
I'm
the
not
child's
calling
name?
Yiddle.
You mother fathead. Are you serious? You're
Yiddle.
not going to
I
call him
don't.
Yiddle? All right.
You know why I don't want to do it? Because I don't want to be like in here, and then when they do name it next season, I'll be like, oh, I can't believe I was calling it. I even try not to say baby that word because everywhere else it's like the child on the Funko Pop. You go to get a T-shirt from Hot Topic, the child. Yeah.
Oh, my wife actually got me a T-shirt, Baby Yoda T-shirt for Valentine's Day, but it was coming from China, and accordingly, because of the coronavirus, it got delayed. So I was like, just cancel the damn thing. Come on, man. I can get a freaking Yiddle T-shirt anywhere. I'll make my own and say Yiddle up on top. I'm going to get people to say Yiddle. I need it. You know what? If I had that audience like Rob had, I would have people calling it Yiddle. I would turn around and be like, hey, I don't want any compensation for it. I just simply want you to call it Yiddle, and my fans will know that it came from me.
Why doesn't it have a name? I can't see any negative to it. Unlike the name will be revealed one day in one episode. Like that's we know that's happening, right?
Mhm.
So what are they gonna do? Why do they want us to see the name revealed during the show instead of just telling us that outside?
Why wouldn't they just have a fan vote? Maybe they will at some point. What do you think the name
That
should
would be a good idea.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Get that interaction, get people working. I can try and work my magic and get people to call it Yiddle. I'm saying.
Doesn't have to start with a Y, does it? What was the one on episode 1?
Yaddle.
It started with a Y.
The name was Yaddle. That's why I want this one to be Yiddle. There's a method to my madness, bruh.
Yeah.
It suddenly it makes sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's some logic.
See? And that's how I get it. That's how I get them to change the name to make the name Yiddle.
3 out of 3 of that species have the Force.
Yep.
That's got to be the most sensitive in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, but a clone of the Emperor can kick its ass.
No, this one learned how to heal without reading or without any power. It just learned.
Maybe this is a clone of. They actually said that it wasn't a clone. It seems like a dirty. It's too ugly to be a clone.
Who said that? When?
They said it in the TV series.
Was that where that doctor with the little Camino badge?
Yep.
He said that? It's not a clone? I missed that.
This is Actually, no. I think it was more specifically. What's the Ugnaughts name? The one that died at the end.
I have spoken.
Yeah, him. Played by Nick Nolte.
Klee was it?
Yeah, it wasn't
Glee.
Clay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Glee, something like that. Gree. Anyway, that one. He was like, no, I've seen clones before, and this doesn't look like a clone. It's too ugly, to be a clone. Clones are usually made to be perfect, and this one's not perfect. So, yeah,
Queel.
there you go. Queel, not Greel. Anyway, yeah,
Uh-huh.
something like that.
And then he died. Damn.
That
Which
was
is
sad.
why they introduced a second mechanic in that series, the one on Tatooine.
Yep.
Where a certain mysterious character at the final scene just showed up. You got any theories on that?
You and I both think it's the exact same thing. We both think it's Boba, don't we?
Boba Fett.
Hells yes.
Mm-hmm. That's the
Hells
only reason they went back to Tatooine. I initially in the episode I didn't think that, but like as time has passed, I'm thinking that's probably who it's got to be. The actor who played the clones.
Yeah.
Do you know his name? But that guy, the guy who was Jango Fett,
Yeah.
he would be at the
That figure.
appropriate age of what a Boba Fett would look like. They could get him to come back.
Yeah, you'd figure that would be interesting, and he would be older because this would be 5 years after Empire. Plus, he'd be a little rough around the edges, being digested for a couple years in a Sarlacc pit, Sarlacc stomach, I should say, the Great Pit of Krakoon.
I will
So,
accept
yeah.
no other theory of who that man was. They
Hell
can't
yeah.
make it Luke. Like they can't de-age Mark Hamill and de-fat him also. Like, that's a whole lot of technology. They wouldn't want to do that for a Mandalorian TV show.
Well, I think it's got to be him. I'd be very happy if it was him.
You want Obi-Wan to be a TV series, or do you want
Yes.
it to be a film?
No, I want it to be a TV series. Yeah, I think
I want
they
film.
should just really. I think they should just chill with the TV with the movies for now, and just do the TV series because you're going to put a lot more thought into it. I feel like there's a lot more thought put into the TV series because you have to make it engaging. You have to make every episode engaging and whatnot. It's not like, oh, we're going to put all our money on this. No, you're going to get a consensus. It's easier to keep stuff like this under wraps, because there's not the big budget. There's not the big crowds of people showing up and whatnot,
There's also not the big return on your investment. You spend $200 on a budget of an Obi-Wan film, yeah. But if you do it on a TV series, you would have made that money anyways.
Look,
no matter who you used.
What is the main reason why they're not going to make a Hulk movie?
A Universal?
Yeah, Universal owns
Money.
the distribution rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that. But they're still willing to put the Hulk in movies because you can still make money on the merchandise. The merchandise is usually one of the big draws for any TV series, I'm saying, like sci-fi specifically, where there's that niche audience. Yeah, you could potentially make a whole lot of money, but they also put that merch out early because that's where you're going to make your money. One of the biggest faults that they decry that they did was not putting out enough merch for the Mandalorian show, because they put out Cara Dune, they put out IG-11, they put out the Mando, and I think that was all that they put out. They might have put out somebody else, but whatever. I think it was only those three. They didn't even put out the child.
I heard specifically they told them not to reveal anything about the child. That was supposed to be a big secret.
So why didn't they put it out like a month later?
Exactly.
Yeah. Why are they like, by the time that the third episode came out, they're like, or the second episode, they're like, holy crap, people, like, this is ruling the internet right now. Start putting together some merchandise right now. They didn't have that stuff in the wings. They didn't have any of that.
Well, how early in the process do these leaks come out? As soon as
it's a leak, so it depends on who's going to spill the beans. Ask the Trump administration.
What did he do?
Wait, saying, ask the Trump administration about when leaks come out. That place is like a sinking ship. There's so many freaking leaks. It's ridiculous.
Okay,
So I'm
okay.
saying, like in general, you don't know when a leak's going to come out. You don't know if
Which
the
is
leak is
why
going to come out.
which is why you wouldn't tell the toy companies to get started on making a childlike Yoda, because then the leak could have come out right away. So they did have to wait for that first episode to come out before they could make that phone call.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
Because mind you, it's a TV series and people weren't going crazy over the TV series until the first one came out. It could have literally been, listen, let's talk about this first contract. Now let's talk about the second contract. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about the second contract that we're going to make. And I'm going to need all of your people out of the room, except for one of your manufacturers. You know what I'm saying? And then boom, here's going to be such and such and such. And it's going to be an exclusive that we're going to do through our company specifically, like the Hasbro site or what, or the Disney site or whatever, who cares? Oh yeah, we'll put it out in distribution to the stores, whatever. But bang, that's what's going to be. So, and you could black box it, because that's the thing. They've got black boxes, for some of these toy companies where it's like, oh, you don't know what's actually going to be inside. There are 4 mystery characters. Those don't ever leak.
but when someone works inside of that place, they have access to the inside of that black box. They'll know.
Okay, but
You
like I
don't know
said,
when leaks come out.
exactly, they don't know. And you don't know if it's going to be that big of a deal. Because, at the end, when all of a sudden they came out, listen, would they rather keep that to themselves? Look at the failure of Godzilla. I'm talking the 1990, I think it was, the one with Matthew Broderick, the
Mhm.
American version. That one came out. They were so careful about, don't reveal what the monster looks like. Don't put out merchandise in advance. Don't do it, because we're going to make sure we're going to surprise people with how he looks. And it sucked. It
So it
sucked.
wasn't in the trailer either?
No, it
You
wasn't
didn't
in the
get
trailer. Go and look at the trailers for it. You know what I'm saying? They
Huh.
screwed up on everything with that. They hired Rage Against the Machine to do a song for their No Shelter. Go and check out that song where they're like, Godzilla, put your mother effing filler to keep your eyes off the real killer. Cinema, simulated life, ill drama. Like, it's great. They're talking about forthright culture and everything. Like, it was cricky circles. Like, you guys really don't know what you're doing. They had no idea what they were doing with this movie. It was an utter failure. We saw the monster and it's like, this wasn't that great. This really just wasn't that great. Like, they killed him in Godzilla Final Wars. I think it was Final Wars. Destroys all monsters, whatever it was. They were just like, oh, make him appear in Australia, I think it was, and we're just gonna ace this dude. Godzilla killed him in one shot. What do you call it? But like, then they finally released the merch. It wasn't selling because nobody cared. So that's the thing. It's a thing. Like, they didn't know if there's no way to know if
Well,
the
Mandalorian, specifically that character, the Mandalorian. That movie merch is gonna sell TV series. Yeah, you did.
originally was supposed to be Boba Fett.
Good.
Originally, it was supposed to be Boba Fett, and then it was
Wow.
almost last minute. They're like, you know what? Let's just do a regular Mandalorian because we don't know if it's going to sell. I'm still remembering all the conversations that everybody's had, the speculation about what the show is going to be about, and people are like, it's going to be about a rando Mando. Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, who cares about this? And when it came out, it's like, all right, let's check it out. And word of mouth spread like that. Holy crap. This is the greatest thing on freaking TV, guys. Wait till you get to that ending. And it's like, oh, nobody knew it was going to be a
What a
success like
good
that.
debut episode.
Oh,
I
hell yeah.
remember just, this is good, because I had no expectations. I did watch the trailers and I'm just like, whatever, man, there's no lightsabers. And as Ernie will tell you, he's a fan of that bounty hunter, that kind of stuff in the Star Wars universe. It's more than just the good guys versus the bad guys, red versus blue clash.
Yeah.
It's more than just that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
live for that stuff.
Mhm.
But this took me by surprise. You see IG-11 with its multiple weapons spinning and its head can turn from this side to that side. And
Yeah. And that was low budget and it was still great.
mm,
It was great. So, like, at the end of the day, they didn't know it was going to be that big of a runaway success. Excuse me. They were, I'm sure, I'm only trying to predict. I'm only trying to, read people's minds, and especially after the fact. There's no way they could have known that the merch was going to sell like that. So, like, hey, a Mandalorian will sell. Another
only
version of
4 characters. Cara
they had.
Dune.
Go on.
Yeah, you were saying the Cara Dune character, the Mandalorian character, and the 2 others that you mentioned. But there was no Ugnaught, there was no Queel.
Yeah. So there was IG-11, which they already released IG-88 a little while before in the blister box. So IG-88 is the one that was supposed to be in Empire Strikes Back. They still had the toys for him back when the Empire Strike Back toys originally debuted in 1980. Actually, 1979. It would have been the year before. But anyway, like all this crazy stuff, like they had all of this stuff already pre-molded, you know? So putting out IG-11 was easy. That was easy. It's like, oh, it's just IG-88. Repackage them, call them IG-11. When I got the toy, I was literally looking. I was like, I just bought the IG-88. There's literally the exact same guns in here, the same bandolier. It's the same figure. It's the same everything. There's a slightly different paint job, maybe. Like it
But
was
the artificial intelligence wasn't reprogrammed to protect the child. That's the difference.
okay. Anyway, they had a Cara Dune, which was like, oh, cool. And I'm like, when are they going to actually display her? When are they going to show her? And then there's a Mandalorian, which I've already got a Jango Fett. I've already got a Boba Fett. You know, saying they really just use the exact same mold, the same, for the most part, the same weapons. They actually no different weapons because they didn't make them come with a backpack or anything like that. It was like, oh, this is interesting. And they expected that the I think those were the only three. Was there a fourth one? Anyway, they wound up they didn't make Apollo Creed, whatever his name was. Remember Carl
Yeah,
Weathers, the
yeah.
main guy? They didn't make him, and they didn't even have the heavy artillery Mandalorian at first. The heavy infantry guy they called him.
Did it
But
cost them any money not having these characters available during the release? Because it's not like these Star Wars fans are going to go away. You were a fan for 40 years prior.
well,
You'll
here's
be
the
a
way that
fan.
licensing works. You get what you get. You're told, hey, we're going to release these characters. Do you want to do the licensing for these characters? And they're like,
Mm.
oh, yeah, sure. And you bid. And whoever gets the highest bid and whoever you think is going to be able to, you know, make the most of the product because the toys will make people watch the show and so on and so forth. And that's the more you can get for the bid then in the first place. So, hey, we're going to go with Hasbro because they did the highest bid and we trust that they're going to be able to sell some quality toys that aren't going to get people pissed off, which could potentially take away from, you know, detract from their interest in the show.
Yes, and they went with Hasbro the week after. No, when did they make the toys come out?
The
What month
toys
did?
released about a month before the show came out.
Fine, so a month before. Now, if they go to Hasbro a month later, how much? Like after the first episode has aired, then they go, "Hey, Hasbro, make these toys." If they do that,
Well,
how
here's what's
much
so
did it
funny.
cost?
Well, I don't know, but here's what's
Not
funny. They
much.
did do that with one of the figures. That
With
was
the
the heavy
child.
infantry guy. No, that was with the heavy infantry guy.
Uh-huh.
That was the big Mando that had the Gatling gun and the jetpack. Yeah, the what do they call it? The Rising Phoenix, right?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, they didn't make the armorer,
Okay.
right? They didn't make the
Now
armorer.
they made it when it was first available. The fan base that were going to collect the toys, they'll get it. They didn't need to come out a month before they even saw the film, or even the
Not
day
true.
of.
It does need to. It does need to. Look, before the video game came out, they put out Cal Cestus, I think his name is. That was for the Force Rises video game, I think that's called. I grabbed that. I didn't know if I didn't even know if I was going to buy the game or not. I wound up not buying the game.
So if the
Jenna,
game came out and it was available a week later, would you
and what
not
if I
buy it?
yeah, what if I thought that the game sucked? What if I wasn't interested? I'd just be like, yeah, I'm not interested. I'm not going
But
to play the game. I wasn't interested in the game. I'm not going to buy it. You put it out in advance. You always put the merchandise out in advance. That
now the
character, Jenna,
cost of that is
uh-huh.
that the show will be spoiled and it
No,
will hurt
it's
your
not.
enjoyment.
It's not. I'm literally
You
trying to
telling me
talk
it's a
about the
spoiler
one
won't enjoy
example. I'm literally giving you the number one example you should understand. What's the character
what
Jenna? Do you remember her from the?
gender? No.
Do you remember Jenna? Jenna is the one character. She had the big kinky hair. She was black from the final Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah, right. Her.
Okay, so you do remember her now.
Yeah.
Cool. But they made a toy for her a month before the movie came out.
Now was she a secret character? Or was she in the trailer? Yoda, the baby Yoda thing, the child, was not revealed in any way. It was a shock, a surprise at the end of an episode. Revealing him
Agreed.
would hurt your enjoyment of the show. Wanting
Yes.
what?
Yes, it
So
would.
there you go. The benefits outweighed the money that you would have gotten from revealing him early and having the toy out. But when the toy was revealed, it was the hottest toy anyways. I'm sure it was sold very well because this was the first time that toy was available. There's no time sensitivity on something like this. Yeah. Why does it even take that long? No, I remember the delay. The delay was because it came out on Fridays. The Friday that the movie came out, they didn't air it
That's
on
right.
that day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, like, dude, when push comes to shove, they are able to get these products out, but they didn't. And everybody in the industry is like, dude, what the funk? You took so much money from us by not putting out this toy when you could have. And now
It
next
should.
month the toy is supposed to come out.
Oh, it's not even out as of now?
That's the argument.
Whoa.
To this
So why
day,
does it
there's
take
no
so
Baby
long?
Yoda toy.
It
Why did this take so long? That's the question.
huh. Yeah, they take a L for that. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how many people are going to be interested in buying this toy now? Oh, it's still going to go out and there's still pre-orders for it and everything like that. I got a pre-order in for it. Forget about it. I
but the
collect
heavy
toys, obviously.
yeah. But okay, the heavy infantry guy,
Yep.
that was a decision that was made when the movie aired or the show episode
That
aired.
was one that they had in the background and said, listen, have this mold, make the mold. You don't have to make the figures. Just make the mold, have the mold ready.
That's why.
Because this is probably going to be a really important character. And sure enough, they're like, go, 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 go in the heavy infantry. So boom.
So if they were to say make a mold of a character, okay, sure. What's it look like? It's short. It's green. Do you have to give color for the mold?
No, you don't.
Okay. Well, it's a short character. You remember Yoda? Okay, make another short one.
Smaller Yoda, just a little bit smaller.
That would ruin everything. That could leak because you don't know when leaks could come out.
That's why I said in the early part, literally, here's the first meeting. Now everybody leaves except you, the owner of Hasbro or whatever, and you get your chief engineer with me also. Let's have another conversation for a second deal. All right. So yeah, we're good. We're good. I thought that was fun. All right. So
are you guys okay with us talking about wrestling? Because I feel like the two audiences are the same.
Or close enough at least. Yeah. I mean, they can always just leave. I figured put the wrestling stuff at the end. But no, in general, yeah. That's such a good question. Let's turn this to the audience since we know that they can respond. What do you guys want to hear us talking about? Because this is where I usually like to talk about comic book news, including the movie news. The rest of the time, I'll maybe mention it, but I don't want to get into depth about it. This is the only time that I actually want to talk about the actual news and really go into, the balls to the wall all about it. Anything else is just shooting the breeze. Anything else is just talk about a specific comic book or whatever. So is there anything else that you guys want us to cover, to look into? Because I'm pretty sure we're happy to do it. All things nerd culture, we're good, except manga. You into manga?
Nah, anime is cool, but not manga.
Yeah, go find an anime or manga channel. That's my opinion, because that's just not me. So that being said, I think we're gonna break out of here. So Professor Bill, Comic Book University.
Class dismissed.
Well, actually,
you pointed at me to say my name. Yeah, my name is Chillmonger from Chillmonger on YouTube.
We're gonna get out of here.
We'll never get it right.
Probably not, but that's part of the allure. Don't break kayfabe, man. Okay, class dismissed.